Welcome to chapter 4. This chapter is on the Latvian Gambit, 2f5. So, we'll briefly go over the philosophy of this opening, so to speak. We'll go over the pros and cons of it. So, I think the cons are pretty obvious. Black's not defending his pawn, he's not developing any pieces, and perhaps most importantly, he's weakening this diagonal towards his king, the h5 to e8 diagonal. So why would anyone play this? Well, first off, you'll only see this about 1 out of 100 of your e4, e5 games, according to the stats. Maybe a bit more often at the lower levels. But you have to keep in mind that black will have the advantage of experience in this opening because you have to learn all sorts of different lines. And you have to spend more time against more normal moves like knight c6. But black is probably going to be playing this almost every time he sees e4. So he'll have a bit of experience. And there's also a psychological factor, I believe I mentioned in an earlier video, of very often against these rubbish openings, the side facing these openings is going to feel a lot of pressure to punish them, but perhaps a bit of an insecurity that maybe you don't remember exactly how to punish them. And you also know that your opponent is going to have more experience with these lines. So anyway, I'm going to show you a good system. There's actually many good moves. You're almost spoiled for choice. I mean, taking either of these pawns is good. Playing d3, d4, even bishop c4, knight c3, all good. But I'm going to recommend knight c3. Very nice, obvious, clean, developing another piece, putting pressure on the center, defending our pawn. I mean, what's not to like? The main thing that I need you to remember is after the most common, and we're going to go over quite a few moves, and there's even more gone over in the study. We're going to go over them in the order their play. I mean, from most common to least common. So more often than not, yeah, that's the second most common. More often than not, they're going to take the pawn. And the main thing I want you guys to remember is don't take this pawn because then black will just get a big center. And this is exactly what black wants. White has both knights developed, but they're getting kicked around. Black's going to bring his knight out, his bishop out, castle king side, have the rook putting pressure down the f-file. So even here, white is fine, but better is to take the e-pawn. And this already creates some threats. For example, queen h5, if black makes a nothing move like a6 or something, queen h5 will already be totally winning. Let's just show that real quick. After g6, we can take this pawn. Very common. Hitting the rook in the corner, the pawn's pinned, and black's just lost. Black can try to hold on by attacking the queen, hoping maybe we take our rook, but in these positions, you can safely come to h4, or even actually throw in this check is even better. And yeah, we're just going to win a clean rook in the corner. So we already have a threat. We already have our pawn back, and we have two knights developed. So what is black going to do here? Oh, not a6. Well, what will black most commonly do? Well, the main move is knight f6, defending the e-pawn, stopping our queen from throwing this check in. And now what do we do? So this is the first move that you're going to have to memorize, but actually once you see it, you kind of understand it. Usually we don't move the same piece twice in the opening unless we're capturing something, but here we are going to move the knight. So what's the idea? Well, the idea is this knight is very, very important for black's defense. It's holding everything together. It's holding the e-pawn and it's stopping our queen from throwing this check in. So if we can get rid of this knight, we're in good shape. Now, most common is d5, which is, black thinks he's getting everything he wants. He's got a big center. But the problem is, like I said, this knight is holding everything together. And if we take it, boom, all of a sudden, this check that's going to be so common when black prematurely pushes the f-pawn, we're getting this check in. We're going to get this pawn back. Say, for instance, g6. We're going to take this pawn. We're already a pawn up. We're going to be another pawn up. There's really no way black can defend this. And yeah, black's king is in the center. he's going to be 2 pawns down, and we're ahead in development. This is just already game over, and this is the most common way things could go down. Now, slightly less common is say if black just takes the knight. Well, here we take back, and for a second it might look a bit scary because oh no, he opened his bishops in the center, attacking our queen. But this is kind of just an even worse version of the other line because we're going to throw in a check, and after g6, even better than taking the d pawn, which is also totally crushing, is just a check, and all of a sudden black's losing his rook, and this is just game over. Very similar to the first chapter with 2f6. So yeah, and these are the most common moves for black, and they're just very bad. But we also have to look at knight f6. If black sees the writing on the wall, and he sees that he can't really get away with taking this pawn, he might just play knight f6 straight away. Now he's attacking the argy pawn twice. So just remember to now take this pawn. So now we're a pawn up, and we're further attacking the e pawn. More often than not, black's going to try to kick us away, hoping we maybe go back to g1, but of course we're not going to do that. We're going to keep up the pressure, attacking the e pawn, which is not only an attack, but remember, we want to distract this knight. We want to get this knight off the square where it's basically holding black's position together already. So here black again will play d4, d5 most likely, because this is his whole idea. Get a big center. Look, I'm going to get this pawn back. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to kick your knight away, and everything's going to be good. But not really, because we're white, starting a tempo up. Black's wasting a lot of time, and we strike at the center with d3. And yeah, again, black's position is already collapsing. So state takes the pawn. Yeah, this might be a position to think for a minute about. Yeah, we're just going to take in the center. Can't afford to ignore it because we're hitting his bishop. And really, no matter how he takes, we're going to take back. Keeping this knight here, just in case we can have some tricks here. Doesn't really actually even matter too much. We could take with the other knight. And yeah, he's going to want to take with the bishop. He takes with the pawn. Oh yeah, this is another reason why we have the knight here. We got this common idea here, and that's going to be game over. So he'll take with the bishop, take with the knight, and we could trade queens and be totally winning. But once again, the good old queen h5 check. And yeah, black is not long for this world. If g6, you remember the old fork over here. And obviously, if the king moves, king here is just losing the queen right away. King here, probably going to lose the queen anyway after this. Castles queen side. Yeah, black is toast. So yeah, that line is totally bad. What if h6 first? We'll go over this briefly. So we can come into e6. The nice thing about this pawn, it's making it so we can go forward instead of back. Yeah, again, we're threatening to take this pawn in the center. This pawn actually could be annoying. So he pins our knight. We can actually safely take in the center. It looks like, oh no, we're losing a knight. But this is another common thing to keep in mind. If it looks like we're going to lose the knight, keep in mind we can always attack the piece that's pinning us. Say it goes back. Trade queen, stop him from castling. And okay, our pawns are ugly, but we got quite a few more of them than black. And actually, this advanced pawn could be quite dangerous, and it's also quite easy to defend. So, yeah, this is just game over for black. So, yeah, knight f6 does not solve black's problems at all. We're going to take, and we're going to put pressure on the center, and we're going to likely be a pawn or two up. So, slightly less common than knight f6 is knight c6. 17% of games went this way. And here, just have to remember, dominate on the center, e4. So a couple options here. If he takes this pawn, we're going to take here. And again, if he takes and we take, the knight can't come out to defend the h5 square. So probably he'll play knight f6. But now we can safely play bishop c4. And we're already putting tons of pressure here. d5, and we can actually take this pawn. It looks like a lot to remember because yeah, it looks like we're just losing a piece. But once again, our good old friends, queen h5, and yeah, the rook is pinned. This knight's going to be lost. This is just an example. We could stop here, but keep in mind also if he goes back, we have this move, and this is going to be probably mate. I haven't actually looked at this, but this just looks just like checkmate. I'm gonna just throw the engine on here. Yeah, going over this quick, but yeah, it's gonna be made in a couple of moves. So again, you don't have to remember all this, but just keep in mind that it's going to be bad news. So you can throw in the check, but now he's pretty much got all his pieces hanging. And you can take the rook here. I'm just showing you the very, very best moves. But the main thing you have to remember is that bishop c4 here is a good move. And you'll very rarely even see knight c6. You'll very rarely see this position in general. But you just got to remember when you're better developed, when your opponent's making bad moves like 2f5, that all the tactics are going to favor you. Let's go over that one more time just because it's fun. And yeah, and just remember, if you can get your queen here, you're almost certainly going to be just crushing. And actually here, g6 is the only move that's not just totally losing. Obviously here, we're going to check. Actually here, it's probably just going to get mated. Yeah. And yeah, g6. Just our old friends, knight takes g6. So knight c6 is a bad line. And finally, we'll go over d6. And again, d6 or knight c6, any move that is not putting pressure on us, we're going to play d4. Say he takes this way. Oh, yeah. So this is an important line to have up your sleeve. Here we can actually take this way and come here. This is a common thing to remember. If we can get both knights here putting pressure on this, it's going to be bad for our opponent. Trying to hold it together. Knight here is actually the only move. So hold the f7 square. But now we can actually sacrifice a piece. And what is the idea of this? These look like crazy lines. Like who would memorize this? Who would remember this? It doesn't look like it makes sense. How am I supposed to remember I'm sacking a piece? But just remember the themes. The themes are the weakened f7 square. And after pawn takes, we take the knight that defends f7. And just like in almost every single line, black is falling apart on that diagonal. Just to show briefly, if takes, and yeah, there's a mate in 8 here. You don't have to remember the mate in 8, even if you make some mistakes. With a king like this, it's going to be bad news. So, relatively best is queen f6, but now we just got to win a piece for nothing. And yeah, we're happy to trade queens here. Again, pressure. This is what you learn from going over grandmaster games and looking at engine lines. The engine is just, it's not afraid. If you have a positional advantage, if you have a development advantage, then you just gotta attack. Don't retreat. Trade if you need to, but don't retreat. And yeah, let's count the pawns. We got an extra pawn and we're attacking. And the king, yeah, flex development is just horrible. So that's really all you need to know for the Latvian Gambit. I know I went over some of the tactical lines quite quickly, um, but hey, this line is very rare. And yeah, d6 and knight c6 are also quite rare. But I would watch this video more than once, especially if you have a friend or opponent who you know plays this line. You do want to be prepared because then it can go from an opening that you kind of know is good, but you're a bit afraid of, and you're a bit like, oh, I don't really want to play this. I don't remember what I'm doing. Be like, bring it on. I'm excited to see this. I'm going to crush you quickly. And that's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling to go from being afraid of something to welcoming it and being excited to face it. So I hope this video was helpful. I would watch this maybe once a year or so just to refresh your memory in this line because you will see it and probably you'll see it so rarely that when you see it, you won't have really looked at it in a while and you might feel a little rusty. But if you just remember the main ideas, that this diagonal is weak, and that's going to be a theme in pretty much almost every single variation. And also remember not to take this pawn because then you will get a not so great position right out of the opening. Remember to take this one. And the way to remember is, well, number one, you're not getting hit with d5. Number two, you're opening your diagonal for your queen, which is going to support the sack on g6. And main other thing to remember is after this, you're going to try to trade this knight off. Just get rid of black's best defender, and then you can attack and win. So hopefully this was all helpful. I wish I would have known these lines much earlier because I played thousands and thousands of games, and I've faced this Latvian Gambit maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 times. And until I learned this knight c3 line, I was not having very good results at all. So hope this was useful. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next chapter, which is 2d5, the Elephant Gambit.